A little bit of a spooky story as we near Halloween. It seems that hackers that go by anonymous to send a message to Trump with you can see it on screen, initial text of "You lose again, Donnie," defaced the website of an airline, GlobalX, that's used for Trump deportations. And they had a message. We'll look at the details of this and other hacking related. There's just a lot of issues right now with the Trump administration being hacked in this way and hacked in that way, and their security is being breached in this way, and it's a whole debacle. Reuters reports website for the U.S. deportation airline GlobalX defaced by hackers. Hackers defaced one of the websites of the airline at the center of President Donald Trump's campaign of deportations to an offshore detention center in El Salvador. A message posted to a subdomain of GlobalX said the site had been hijacked by hackers operating under the banner of Anonymous. Bum, bum, bum. Let me play some reporting on this from some station, and then we'll talk about what it is that they posted. By the way, if you appreciate this show, please do click the subscribe button as I'm hitting my funny bone.
According to a Reuters report, a website belonging to GlobalX, the airline involved in President Trump's deportation campaign, has been hacked by cyber criminals. According to reports, a message posted to a subdomain of GlobalX said that the site has been hijacked by hackers operating under the name Anonymous, a label often used to signal rebellious cyber activism in the tech world. In March, GlobalX planes were used to deport Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador. Meanwhile, Trump's deportation plan is facing a strong pushback from the judiciary as well. Last week, the U.S. Supreme Court issued an emergency order blocking the Trump administration from deporting Venezuelan gang members. And the court also ruled that every individual facing deportation must undergo due procedure before any final removal. This recent cyber attack highlights that the judiciary is not the only realm where the administration has faced opposition. It has also generated
Yeah, so let's read some of this. Obviously, do I even have to say this? Y'all know my stance, which is that people shouldn't break the law, and we should find legal ways to oppose the terrible things that the Trump administration is doing. But Brian Krasenstein wrote out here what the message was on this site. You lose again, Donnie. Do they watch the show? A federal judge ruled on May 1st that the Trump administration's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to remove alleged members of a Venezuelan gang from the country is unlawful. And then it's quoted. Let's see, the president cannot... at one point they said something like, if the courts aren't going to enforce it, we will, or something like that. And then they said, we are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us. Again, pretty spooky stuff. But another security breach was Mike Waltz was photographed, as you can see there, using this messaging service. And because of this photo, it prompted a different hacker to go, watch how easy it'll be to hack this. Rolling Stone reports someone reportedly hacked the messaging app Mike Waltz was seen using. Just, it's not funny, Tucker. This is serious. A hacker reportedly stole customer data from a company that makes a Signal-like app. Mike Waltz was like, yo, you gotta stop using Signal for all these classified things. And then he was like, okay, I'm gonna get a Signal copycat. That former National Security Advisor Mike Waltz was seen using in that cabinet meeting. The hack includes direct messages and personal information from telemessage apps. 404 Media reported Sunday. Telemessage is an Israeli company that makes modified versions of Signal, WhatsApp, and other messaging platforms, but allows users to archive messages. The app is not fully end-to-end encrypted, which is concerning considering high-ranking Trump administration officials appear to be using it. If we jump down, this is apparently what was very quickly breached. Information the hacker accessed did not include Waltz's communications, but reportedly included names, phone numbers, and email addresses of customs and border protection officials, as well as information about some financial institutions. It also, it's possible that the intelligence branch of the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police is using the app. And the hacker told 404 Media, I would say the whole process took about 15, 20 minutes. It wasn't much effort at all. Very easy. Stop, guys. The Trump administration's so bad. I'm really worried because right now they didn't get communications, but they got all this other information. And the fear is that we've learned over and over again, they're just so willy-nilly with this sensitive information. And I don't even want to dive into this story because I'm just sick of it. But media reports Pete Hegseth conducted Pentagon business at least a dozen separate signal chats. Associated Press, source work delivers scoop on Hegseth bypassing Pentagon security protocols to connect to Signal. What is this obsession with using Signal? And then finally, we won't use Signal. We'll use a Signal copycat. And then we'll be using it where a photograph can be taken of us using it, prompting the hack to prove that maybe this isn't the most secure thing in the world. A lot of problems as a sort of shifting to a little bit of a different subject with Newark Airport. And I want to talk about how when this happens under Trump, MAGA goes, meh. Whenever issues happen as it pertains to transportation under Biden, they have a very different reaction.
For the 8th straight day, massive disruptions at Newark Liberty Airport. There have been thousands of delays, some hitting nearly 5 hours. More than 800 flights have been canceled in the last week at the nation's 12th busiest airport. Mariana Dunlap and her friends are stuck in Newark for another day.
We've only been canceled by Spirit Airlines like 5 times.
Monday's bad weather complicated an air traffic control staffing nightmare.
I do love those on the ground. Like usually the on the ground interviews are sort of supposed to give you some insight or you don't know what it's like to be in that interviewing someone on the ground in a war zone, right? Or what do you think on this issue? I love when they do interviews at airports. Ma'am, was your flight canceled? Mm-hmm. What does that feel like? It's annoying. CBS News. And you're like, I think I know what it feels like to be canceled. That's happened to me a lot of times. And now we're going to speak to a victim of these flight cancellations. What do you say on the matter? Tell the people what it's like. But just remember what it was like. Yes, on plane cancellations, it was always Pete Buttigieg's fault. And then when there's a lot of supply chain problems, it was Pete Buttigieg's fault.
New tonight, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg firing back at Fox News host Tucker Carlson, who mocked Buttigieg for taking parental leave during America's supply chain crisis after Buttigieg and his husband, Chasen, adopted twins over the summer. Here's Carlson's comments and Buttigieg's response moments ago.
Pete Buttigieg has been on leave from his job since August after adopting a child. Paternity leave, they call it, trying to figure out how to breastfeed. No word on how that went. But now he's back in office as the transportation secretary, and he's deeply amused, he says, to see that dozens of container ships can't get into this country.
I guess he just doesn't understand the concept of bottle feeding, let alone the concept of paternity leave. But what's really strange is that, this is from a side of the aisle that used to claim the mantle of being pro-family. What we have right now is an administration that's actually pro-family. And I'm blessed to be able to experience that.
Yeah, so whenever he took paternity leave, anything with transportation was, he's breastfeeding, he's gay, that's what I'm trying to say, he's gay, That was the reaction, over and over and over again. And then when there's transportation issues under the Trump administration, it's our patriotic duty to deal with the flight delays, okay? Because it's not that Duffy could have done anything. I mean, we are gutting the federal workforce. Whoopsie, but we couldn't have really done anything. Share your thoughts in the comments. Get the bonus show by clicking the join button below.